Some stories don't just entertain you, they completely change how you see love, resilience, and the true meaning of staying alive when the entire world is stacked against you. This is the story of a young man who decides to grab onto the very last thread of hope he has left, writing his own journey to become an inspiration for anyone who has ever felt like giving up. Our story begins on a calm, quiet day, but nobody knows this might actually be the very last day of our hero's life. He climbs up the stairs, completely overwhelmed by defeat. Grief has totally consumed him. It feels like his world has come to an absolute end. He makes his way all the way up to the rooftop. This young man's name is Chun. He pulls out a pen and paper and begins, with pure heartbreak, to write his final farewell note. The boy feels completely lost, believing he's nothing more than a heavy burden on everyone around him. But at the final second, just as he feels the world has no place left for him, his grandmother suddenly calls out his name. Luckily, she catches up to him just in time, though she has no idea what he was actually planning to do. Chun rushes down to her and clings to her like a child. His grandmother is overflowing with joy because she hasn't seen him in over a year. She asks him, "What were you doing up on the roof, boy?" Naturally, he hides the truth and pretends he was just up there admiring the beautiful sky. Suddenly, the house phone rings. His grandmother answers, completely surprised that anyone is calling them at all. It turns out Chun applied for a teacher training course. She encourages him right away, saying, "That's the right move, my son. Anything is better than just sitting around at home." Without hesitation, she takes him by the hand to show him a huge surprise. She has put together a sweet, intimate birthday party for him, celebrating alongside her traditional opera troupe. They might be elderly, but they still have big hearts. However, the moment the group looks at Chun, they're completely taken aback by his appearance. Turns out they aren't so warm-hearted after all. They ask her, "Doesn't this boy have cerebral palsy? Why did you bring him out, dear?" His grandmother couldn't care less about their harsh words. She proudly tells them he was the smartest kid in his class, graduating high school with top honors. Even Chun himself doesn't let their comments bother him. They all celebrate the birthday together, but our guy Chun overindulges in the food and drink until he starts feeling really sick. His poor grandmother rushes him straight back home to get him treated, terrified that his mother will fly into a rage if she sees him like this. But the day was clearly cursed from the start. His mother appears right at the top of the stairs. She is shocked by what she sees, immediately taking her son upstairs to help him sober up without leaving his side. But the grandmother's words set her off. When she confronts her, "Oh, so now you want to play the caring mother? Have you forgotten that you were going to abandon him when he was only 8 months old?" Things turn serious really fast, my friend. Chun's mother snaps back furiously. "I wouldn't have abandoned him if it weren't for how you raised me. You would have done the exact same thing to me when I was young, or did you forget that?" It's clear their relationship is deeply toxic and strained, looking like they're about to tear each other apart. But thankfully, things settle down between them, and poor Chun barely manages to drift off to sleep. The next morning, he gets up, ready to fight through every single obstacle all over again. His mother warns his grandmother, "Keep a close eye on him, not like last time when you brought him back practically dying." The family leaves for work immediately after, but the grandmother never gives up on Chun. She truly believes in him and his dream. With pure courage and determination, she takes him straight to the training course he applied for. The moment they step into the school, our hero passionately begins teaching the children. He shares his ultimate dream, breaking down all barriers of fear and surrender. He teaches the kids with total devotion, finally seeing a spark of hope in his life once more. But his struggles are far from over. The children start mocking him, thinking he's crazy because of his hyperactive movements and physical disability. Even so, Chun pushes through and continues the lesson, refusing to let them get to him. His grandmother stays right by his side, filming him, giving him confidence, and cheering him on. Sadly, life isn't always fair, and the boy's happiness is cut short. Right after the class, the principal informs him that they can't keep him on because his presence distracts the students, making them uncomfortable. His grandmother is deeply crushed and heartbroken for him. She takes him to a nearby restaurant and comforts him. "Don't worry about it, my son. Don't let this get to you. Eat, drink, and cheer up." Despite how cruel life is being to him, Chun gathers his courage once again and refuses to give up. He immediately updates his CV and sends it off to another company. At the exact same time, a major crisis breaks out with his grandmother's musical group. Everyone is losing their minds because their primary drummer is completely ignoring them, turning off his phone right before their big performance. They are panicking, unable to do anything without a drummer. As everyone paces around helplessly, the grandmother hatches a brilliant idea. She tells them, "There's only one person who can save us, my brilliant grandson, Chun." On the bus ride, she tries to convince him to take the drummer's place, saying, "Did you forget how you used to drum on plates when you were little? It sounded absolutely lovely lovely. Trust me, it's the exact same thing. Just give it a try. The boy tries to explain that plates and a real drum kit are completely different things. Comparing them makes no sense at all. Suddenly, in the middle of their argument, Chun stands up and selflessly gives up his seat to a woman carrying a small child. But no good deed goes unpunished. The reckless bus driver slams the brakes, causing Chun to lose his balance and fall hard. But does he let it slide? Of course not. He calls out the driver, asking what on earth caused that sudden jerk. Seeing this, his grandmother gets extremely emotional and steps up to defend him, yelling at the driver, "Isn't it enough that you're a terrible driver almost killing your passengers, you filth? Now you want to insult a young man and blame him for your mistake, you filth? Not in your wildest dreams, you filth." Fortunately, Chun has a soft heart. He calms her down, saying, "It really doesn't matter that much to me, Grandma," and finds her another seat. When they finally get back home, his mother has dinner all prepared for them, but our hero is a bit preoccupied. The grandmother asks the mother, "When are you going to tell your son that you're pregnant?" Turns out his mother has been keeping it a secret, but she resolves to tell him when the timing is right. That night, the persistent grandmother sneaks into his room and urges him, "Son, please reconsider the drumming off. You're genuinely talented and have everything it takes." After much convincing, Chun finally agrees, asking her to pick out a super stylish drum set for him. Overjoyed, his grandmother orders it immediately without wasting a single second. The very next day, she takes him to join her one-of-a-kind musical troupe, a bunch of senior citizens who act like absolute ninjas. Poor Chun plays the drums for a bit, but one of the female band members is instantly displeased. She snaps, "Did you really bring a disabled guy to play with our prestigious band?" The grandmother loses her temper on the spot and unleashes complete chaos on her. She screams, "You blind fool. He's not disabled. He has cerebral palsy. I'll show you who's really defective here." The two women end up grabbing each other by the hair, causing a massive scene in public. Meanwhile, our hero is completely in his own world, trying to calm the atmosphere by playing a gentle rhythm. Suddenly, a beautiful, sweet girl interrupts him. She walks over, picks up her flying frisbee, looks at him with a tender smile, and walks away. Chun is instantly captivated by her, completely unable to take his eyes off her for the rest of the day. Hours later, the fight is finally settled. Inside a police station, the entire troupe ends up stuck there in absolute embarrassment. After a lengthy discussion, the two women finally agree to make peace after practically tearing each other apart in front of everyone. Chun takes his grandmother and leaves to head back home. But along the way, a surge of passion and raw talent suddenly hits our hero. He begins playing with deep emotion and heart. Despite all the hardships, his grandmother's eyes fill with pride and unconditional love. The next morning, Chun wakes up feeling full of optimism. As he gazes out for a few moments, he remembers the girl he met yesterday and smiles at the memory. At that moment, his mother enters his room to inform him that she and his father are going on a long business trip that might last about a week. Chun feels like nobody actually cares about him or his life. He stays silent and simply tells her that he officially registered for the university he always dreamed of attending. But to his shock, his mother isn't happy for him at all. She tells him bluntly, "I am not paying a single cent for that university. I will choose a tuition-free college for you instead." Chun feels deeply wronged, but he holds his tongue. His grandmother has his back, telling him, "Ignore what she says. I'm right here with you, and I'll pay for whatever university you want." The day ends, and Chun goes to sleep with a heavy heart, deeply wounded by his mother's words. Yet, surrendering is simply not in his vocabulary. The following morning, he heads straight to the music band's rehearsal spot, fully energized to prove himself, make his grandmother proud, and hopefully run into that girl again. But he gets the shock of his life when he sees the stunning girl standing right in front of him. He feels an overwhelming rush of joy. To make things even better, she walks up to him, hands him a drumstick, and encourages him to play. But in an instant, everything changes when the band's original drummer, Jiao, returns after being missing for days. Jiao arrogantly remarks, "So this is what it's come to, replacing me with a disabled guy." His grandmother and her friend, the same woman she was fighting with yesterday, immediately jump to his defense like true allies. They yell back at Jiao, "He has cerebral palsy, you ignorant fool." Infuriated by their insults, Jiao decides to put on a performance to humiliate Chun in front of everyone. He starts playing, completely confident in his superiority. But our hero refuses to back down. Spurred on by the beautiful girl's encouragement, Chun accepts the challenge. With immense courage and passion, the two launch into a fierce drum battle, each determined to outplay the other. But our hero shatters all expectations, shocking everyone with his pure genius. He plays with incredible energy, breaking every physical barrier holding him back. Through sheer determination, he turns his weakness into undeniable strength. Both finish completely exhausted, but Chun has undeniably blown everyone away with his breathtaking performance. Overjoyed, he goes to wash his hands, where fate brings him face to face with the girl once again. She teases him, "Do you hang out here every day or what?" Chun can hardly believe she's talking to him. He explains that they practice with the band 3 days a week. Seeing his passion and love for life, the girl introduces herself as Yo-Yo, wanting to get to know him better. To top it off, the spontaneous girl asks for his phone number so they can stay in touch. Chun is thrilled, but his heart sinks as he admits he doesn't even own a phone. Being in a hurry, Yo-Yo wraps up the conversation and bids him goodbye. Little do they know, his grandmother overheard the entire interaction, keeping a close eye on her grandson. That night, Chun returns home feeling like he's floating in a dream, unable to wrap his head around the fact that Yo-Yo actually wanted his number. Feeling like his heart finally has a chance at happiness, he goes to sleep eagerly anticipating seeing her again. The next morning, Chun gets dressed with unusual enthusiasm. His grandmother notices and asks what's behind all this energy, acting like she doesn't already know. He tells her firmly that he will never give up on his dreams, stating, "I'm going to get a job at a cafe, earn my own money, and pay for my own college tuition. This is my dream, and nobody is stopping me." Deeply moved and emotional, his grandmother hands him a mobile phone to help him with work, and, of course, to text Yo-Yo if he sees her again. Poor Chun has no idea she knows everything. Unstoppable now, our hero steps out into the world feeling like luck is finally on his side. Arriving at the cafe, he respectfully introduces himself and hands over his resume, promising, "You won't regret hiring me. I will blow you away with my skills." Sensing his determination, the manager decides to give him a physical trial to see if he can move quickly and smoothly without disrupting the workflow. Driven by pure passion, Chun tackles the physical test effortlessly and even showcases his eloquence and communication skills. He recites complex poetry and difficult terminology with complete ease, desperately trying to prove how much this job means to him. Outside, his grandmother watches him through the window, fighting the urge to run in and hug him as she sees him turning every tiny opportunity into a beacon of hope. Sensing her presence, Chun walks outside to grab a bite with her after his impressive interview. His grandmother asks in disbelief, "How on earth did you know I was standing out here?" Chun calmly replies that he knew she was tailing him from the moment he left the house. He looks at her with a somber expression, making the poor grandmother assume he didn't get the job. She tries to comfort him, "Don't worry, son, it's their loss, not yours." But with a burst of joy, he surprises her, "I actually got hired." Shocked, she jokes, "Wait, so I officially have a working grandson now? Man, I really am getting old. You're going to be rich now, taking care of me and everyone else." Holding back his tears, Chun softly tells her that his goal isn't just about the money, it's about dignity and feeling worthy just like any normal human being. Unable to contain her emotions, his grandmother bursts into tears of pure joy, assuring him, "These are happy tears, my boy." They embrace tightly, ready to face whatever comes next together. Right after, they head straight to the band's rehearsal, where everyone is trying to cheer up Diao, who keeps losing to our hero. Suddenly, Yo-Yo appears out of nowhere. Knowing he was coming, she offers to help him carry his drums. With her sweet, genuine nature, she jokes around with him naturally, treating him like an ordinary person rather than someone with a disability. Chun treasures every second with her, feeling true happiness for the very first time. As the days pass, Chun excels in every area of his life. He starts his job at the cafe, proving his worth, while fully engaging in the band's activities. He feels like he has finally found his real family, discovering what it truly means to live, love, and take risks. One evening, while Chun and his grandmother are organizing things, they receive a sudden video call from his mother. The grandmother frantically cleans up the place so the mother doesn't discover what they've been doing behind her back. When she picks up, the mother insists on seeing Chun on camera to check on him, reminding them that he has a physical rehabilitation session scheduled for midweek. She adds that she and his father will be returning home very soon. Chun and his grandmother exchange nervous glances, realizing their routine of music practice and work is about to be exposed. Luckily, they manage to make an excuse and hang up the call. A few days later, the grandmother decides to host a big dinner party at their house, inviting the entire musical troupe over. Even Yo-Yo comes along to help out in the kitchen. Everyone is cooking together with pure joy and excitement. Meanwhile, Yo-Yo decides to explore the house a bit, and our hero follows right behind her. Suddenly, Yo-Yo receives a quick phone call from her mother. Noticing how attentive Yo-Yo is to her mom, Chun remarks emotionally, "I really envy the relationship you have with your mother." Yo-Yo replies, "Don't envy it at all. I just have to obey everything they say to be the perfect daughter. Otherwise, they cut off my allowance. Trust me, they don't actually care about my feelings or my dreams." They drop the topic, but Yo-Yo is completely stunned when she notices the massive collection of books in his room. She is even more amazed to learn that he has read every single one of them. For the first time in a long while, Chun feels a genuine sense of pride and self-worth. But the curious girl doesn't stop there. She spots an unusual notebook and opens it up. To her surprise, it's filled with handwritten poetry. Flustered, Chun steps closer and admits that he wrote them all, pointing out a specific page dedicated entirely to her. Excited, Yo-Yo reads the poem aloud, touched by the overwhelming warmth and sincerity in his words praising her. Meanwhile, the kitchen is filled with laughter as the troupe enjoys the party. Suddenly, the grandmother's phone rings. It's Chun's mother asking where they are and what they're up to. Panicking, the grandmother lies, claiming they're just about to eat and go to sleep. But the mother drops a bombshell. Great. Open the door then, because I'm standing right outside and joining you for dinner. Terrified, the grandmother opens the door to find the entire band inside. The mother tries to hold her temper at the chaotic scene, but her blood boils when she walks in and finds Yo-Yo standing right next to her son. As soon as the guests leave, Chun finally snaps, utterly exhausted from being treated like a helpless child who just eats, sleeps, and obeys orders. His mother harshly demands to know who that girl was. The grandmother steps in, claiming she's just a school classmate, but the mother refuses to buy their lies. Tired of hiding, Chun decides to lay all his cards on the table. I'm going to the university I chose. I got a job at a cafe, and I'm paying for my own expenses from now on. I don't need anything from you. Embarrassed by how his mother treats him in front of Yo-Yo, he lets out all the pent-up frustration inside. Stunned, the mother turns to the grandmother and scolds her. Look at how you raised him. What else are you hiding from me? The grandmother tries to calm her down, but the mother completely loses control, screaming at Chun. Do you really think that university will accept you? You will never become a teacher. How can you stand in front of students and parents when you can barely speak clearly? Face reality. You are a hopeless cause. Her harsh words crush Chun's spirits, completely destroying the dreams he worked so hard to build. He stammers back. I meet all the requirements. They should accept me. Unable to hold back his tears any longer, the poor boy breaks down weeping. Why was I born like this? What did I do to deserve hearing this from my own mother, the one person who is supposed to support me? A heavy silence fills the room as no one knows what to say. Late that night, Chun retreats to the roof, deeply wounded by his mother's words. Desperate, he calls the university to ask if his cerebral palsy would disqualify him from admission. But nobody answers, as the administration office is closed. Feeling completely lost and abandoned, Chun sits in the dark until his grandmother comes up to tell him that his mother has left. For a second, Chun considers giving up entirely. But suddenly, he turns to his grandmother and asks about getting a driver's license, surprising her with his refusal to be broken by his family's cruel words. The next day, his grandmother takes him to rehabilitation, hoping to ease his condition over time. But standing there, Chun feels like he's back at square one, looking around and feeling like there's no hope for him to ever live a normal life. Yet, a tiny flicker of hope remains in his heart. The next day, his grandmother takes him to his driving test, where he drives with a mix of wild excitement and nervousness, making the poor woman cling to her seat for dear life. The following day, the elderly music troupe gathers to vote on who will be the lead drummer. Jiao feels nervous, realizing how strong Chun's performance was and fearing he might lose his spot. But unexpectedly, Jiao suddenly collapses, and an ambulance is called to rush him to the hospital. Chun genuinely worries for him, intending to follow the ambulance to check on his rival. Suddenly, another unexpected thing happens. The grandmother gets a call from the hospital and urgently tells Chun, "Come with me to see your sister." Hearing this tears Chun apart inside. My sister? Where? How? With whom? Arriving at the hospital, Chun is shocked to see his mother holding a newborn baby girl. He approaches the infant, feeling emotions he has never experienced before, filled with pure joy. Hearing the baby cry, he steps closer just to look at her. But his family's cruelty knows no bounds. The moment his mother sees him, she pushes him away and screams, "Don't you dare come near her. Don't even think about it." Chun suppresses his deep heartbreak, but his grandmother sees the pain in his eyes. As they leave, Chun asks her, "Did you know about this? Were you keeping it from me too?" The grandmother explains that his mother's pregnancy was high risk, which is why she kept traveling under the excuse of work. Shattered for the millionth time, Chun recalls his confrontation with his mother 2 days ago, remembering how he poured his heart out to her. "I know I'm a burden to you and that you hate and despise me. You don't have to pretend to be a caring mother anymore. You treat me like a caged animal with zero freedom." Instead of comforting him, his mother's heart had only hardened further as she coldly replied, "You are a burden on my life, and I don't love you. But that doesn't change the fact that this is my fate and yours." At this point, total despair begins creeping into Chun's heart, burying the tiny spark of hope he was clinging to. He tries his best to push through his daily routine, but keeps keeps returning to point zero, especially when he overhears his cafe co-workers blatantly making fun of him, calling him disabled and crazy. Chun hears every single word, but ignores them, desperately trying not to lose what little hope he has left. After his shift, he sits alone until Yo-Yo comes running up to him, concerned. Is everything okay? I panicked when I saw you called me 10 times. Opening up about his deep pain, he tells her about his mother's pregnancy and how his family treats him like a nobody. But Yo-Yo's response shocks him. Just let them live their lives and have as many kids as they want. It's their personal choice, so don't get involved. Chun snaps back angrily. And what about my freedom? All I want is to go to university and work like a normal human being. Unable to leave him in such a state, Yo-Yo takes him on a walk around the city to pull him out of his despair. For a brief moment, Chun finally feels normal. He reaches out and gently holds Yo-Yo's hand. But not every story has a happy ending. Feeling uncomfortable, Yo-Yo realizes she can't let him get any closer. She quickly pulls her hand away, makes up an excuse, and walks away, waving goodbye from a distance. Chun's world completely shatters. He feels like he was living a lie, watching his ultimate dreams vanish into thin air. The very last ray of hope in his heart completely dies out, leaving him feeling utterly alone in a massive world. Returning home in total defeat, he forces a fake smile on his face to reassure his grandmother, bringing her some sweets he personally made at the cafe. His grandmother, the only person who truly sees the purity of his heart despite all his suffering, tries to stay strong in front of him as she prepares his food. But Chun has completely given up on life. Feeling there is no place for him in this world, he frantically starts stuffing his mouth with sweets, no longer caring whether he lives or dies. With no reason left to look forward to tomorrow, Chun suddenly begins to choke on the food. Horrified, his grandmother rushes over, trying desperately to save him as he struggles to breathe. As he collapses to the floor, she breaks down in absolute terror. In that terrifying moment between life and death, Chun's life flashes before his eyes. He remembers playing hide-and-seek as an innocent young child, hiding from his family to surprise them, only to hear his mother say coldly, "It's better if we don't look for him. Let him get lost so we can finally be rid of him and this burden." Those cruel words had burned deeply into his heart, spoken by the one person who was supposed to love him unconditionally. Chun wakes up in a hospital bed, where he sees his mother weeping bitterly by his side. For the very first time, she looks at him with pure love and remorse, sobbing, "I never meant to keep your sister away from you. I was just so terrified of losing her too. I am so sorry for everything I've done to you. You have every right to hate me, but please, give me one last chance to be a real mother to you." Overwhelmed by her genuine remorse, she hugs him tightly, refusing to let go. Unable to bear seeing her in such pain, Chun gently pats her back and hugs her in return. Days pass, and Chun is finally discharged from the hospital, determined to pick up where he left off and pursue his dreams once more. He goes up to the roof and finds his grandmother sitting there in deep thought. Sitting beside her, he notices a prominent scar on her neck and asks her about it. Emotionally, she reveals her secret. "I got this severe injury when I was young, working tirelessly to support my daughter after her father abandoned us. I had no choice but to travel abroad, work hard, and face unimaginable hardships for her sake." Heartbroken for his grandmother, Chun asks if his mother knows about this scar. She replies, "No, this secret goes to my grave with me. I never want her to know such painful truth. Your mother truly loves you, Chun, and she deeply regrets the past. Give her another chance." Chun pauses, then asks a heartwarming question. "Do you think my little sister will like having a brother like me?" His grandmother looks at him in utter shock and amazement at his pure heart. Later, as they head downstairs to rest, the grandmother suddenly remembers a package that arrived for him earlier that morning. Chun rushes to open it and finds an unusual red envelope inside. As he reads its contents, tears well up in his eyes from pure shock and joy. Unable to contain his emotions, he screams for his grandmother. She rushes in, fearing he's sick again, only to find him crying tears of absolute happiness. She takes the paper and reads it aloud. It's his official university acceptance letter. The impossible dream fought so hard for has finally come true. Overjoyed, his grandmother bursts into tears, pulling him into a tight embrace as they celebrate this miraculous milestone together. With renewed energy, Chun prepares to embark on his university journey. Shortly after, his grandmother takes him to the city where their music troupe is scheduled to give a major performance they've been rehearsing for months. But just as the troupe gathers in excitement, the police call the grandmother to inform her that the event organizer was a fraud who has just been arrested. Though disappointed that the concert is cancelled, the band is relieved that the scammer was caught. From afar, Chun spots Yo-Yo, but chooses not to approach her to protect his feelings from getting hurt again. As the group prepares to head home, an unexpected invitation arrives specifically for Chun. It turns out the bus company investigated the official official complaint he filed against the driver who harassed him. The officials hold a special ceremony to honor Chun for his courage in raising awareness about the mistreatment of disabled individuals. They invite him to the stage to deliver a speech to the audience. Overwhelmed with emotion, Chun steps up to the microphone and speaks from the heart. I didn't file that complaint for a reward. I did it to raise awareness for people living with conditions like mine. We are constantly subjected to pity, disgust, or sadness, but I am standing here today to tell you never give up. I believed in myself, my abilities, and most importantly, my dreams. I refuse to let judgment or cruel words define who I am. Reflecting on his journey, Chun finally feels the warmth, love, and acceptance he always longed for, realizing he has officially found his true place in this world. The next day, Chun and his grandmother sit by the peaceful seashore. Deciding to take charge of his own future, he turns to her and says softly, "I've decided to start my university life on my own terms this time. You spent your entire life sacrificing everything to take care of me. Now it's time for you to rest, live for yourself, and do what you love." Touched by his profound wisdom and love, the grandmother smiles with overwhelming pride as our hero holds tightly onto his ray of hope, ready to embrace his new beginning. And that brings us to the end of this truly magnificent film, a story that deeply reminds us of the true value of life and the power of never giving up. We all face immense struggles, but we must face them head on, push beyond our limits, and cherish every single moment, both the good and the bad. Because in the end, we only get one life, so make sure to live every second of it to the fullest. Have an awesome evening, my friends. Peace out.